Hello and welcome back to Traitor Talk. Today we are talking episode 2. My name's Jake and I'm joined by Rick.
Hi guys, glad to be here.
I'm joined by Luke.
Not so glad to be here, hello.
And I'm joined by Connor.
Buongiorno.
Nice to see you all, guys. Looking forward to getting into this. It's getting a bit more juicy now in episode 2. You know, tensions are starting to flare. Firstly, just a quick look back to last week, and I just want to reflect on the fact that Connor said the word stiffy for the first time I've heard that word in about 10 years. We've all been having a good laugh at that. I enjoyed that.
I said it a few months ago, or maybe a year ago, around Luke, and he also said it. He's heard that a long time, the word stiffy.
Yeah, no, I remember Connor. Connor is persistent in saying stiffy. I think he's trying to bring it back.
I didn't know it went.
Connor's bringing stiffy back.
Yeah, he's bringing stiffy back.
Should we get that hashtag going? Bring stiffy back. I also, if you listened to last week's episode, you might have heard us say things along the line of, Connor, you've been saying that, but you've been saying we should cut Luke's stuff all episode, and you won't have heard that in the episode. That's because of the sheer volume of content we had to cut for Luke. Luke said some things last week that we're not going to repeat, but it was horrendous.
I wouldn't go that far.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say about last episode?
I was only having a laugh. If I said anything about Marley, I was only joking. I was only joking.
Mate, I think we're going to have to cut that.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Because we were trying to hide it.
I want to say I'm having a laugh, though.
I'm worried about a name coming up again today.
I was having a laugh. I was just playing a character. That's not the truth, Connor.
That's just satire, man. That's satire.
No, I didn't. It was obviously the first time we've ever done anything like that, ever, at all, as a group. I think it went okay, to be fair. Well, better than I was expecting. But if anyone's got any feedback for us, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, we have an email address now. They could email us.
What is it?
TraitorTalk2024@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Reddit at Traitor Talk Podcast. Luke, you've set up a Twitter page. I'm not calling it X.
I'm not calling it
what's
X,
the name?
no chance. Traitor Talk Pod.
Follow me on Twitter.
No, it's just Twitter, mate. I refuse to call it. Traitor Talk Pod. At Traitor Talk Pod.
Follow me on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah, follow us on that.
Like normally on the podcast when people plug in the email, I'm like, why are you doing that? You don't want people to email. But I do, and now I realise people do want to hear back from people. So if anyone has anything to say, we'd love to hear it.
But keep it nice. We don't like to be mean to people, do we? So we don't expect people being mean to us in return. Keep it
I'm not gonna lie, I expect it.
Mate, if someone comes after us, I'm fucking going for it.
I don't mind being a villain. Like I can be a villain.
Come at us.
Maybe.
Let's get straight into it. Okay, so the new traitor reveal. I could tell it was Miles as soon as he stepped into the room. That's a hard frame to hide.
But I thought it was Andrew. I'd kind of forgotten that Miles was up for discussion. I thought it was going to be between Andrew and Diane. And when the big guy walked in, I thought, well, Andrew then, just those hulking biceps. But it obviously wasn't. It was Miles.
Well, Andrew's quite a bit shorter than Miles. Like Miles is just a gargantuan man. I thought there was no surprise when he took the hood off. No, I am surprised they went for him because he would have been my last pick.
What was your pick?
To recruit. I picked Diane because I thought she was someone you could throw to the wolves. I think Miles is going to be too strong, and to be honest, I now think he's the strongest traitor. He seems clued in, and he also says he wants to be the last man standing. He wants the money for himself. So they've clearly recruited someone who is out to now get them as well. Whereas I don't think Diane would have been that.
Yeah, so I think I didn't expect Miles to be the new traitor. That caught me off guard massively. I think it's a terrible choice. As just to reiterate what Jake said, he's too good, and he comes across like a very, very treacherous man.
He said going in he wanted to be a traitor, didn't he?
Yeah.
Claudia asked him why, and he said, I've got a husband and I've adopted 2 kids. That's my driving force. So I'm not sure what that's got to do with being a traitor, but I think he thinks you're more likely to win as a traitor. But that wasn't the case last year. The traitors lost. But I suppose you feel like you're in more control if you're a traitor. But I do agree with you. I think they've made a little bit of a mistake there. I think that could definitely come back to bite them.
Well, I mean, one thing that came up as well. Now, Paul across the episodes still seems strong, and I do think he's a number 2 traitor after Miles. But he described Miles as a big personality, strong-willed, and fiercely loyal. How the fuck does he know any of those things? For a start, the first two, okay, maybe fiercely loyal. What? What has he done?
Yeah, I think he is fiercely loyal, but I think it's to his family, not to you guys who've just pulled him into your little cabal without even giving him a choice. I don't think he's going to be loyal. Thank you. I don't think he's going to be loyal to them.
Cabal, yeah, solid word that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be loyal to them at all. But just what you said, you think Paul's going to be number 2 traitor. I'm predicting now that I think Harry will go further than Paul. I think Paul's done a little.
Paul.
Yeah, I think Paul's done a couple little things that I'd have done differently this episode. I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up for the whole series.
I think we theorised last week that Harry is quite dumb. In this episode, for me, I think he did come across as dumb. But Paul said something else I thought was dumb in that initial Miles reveal. He goes, "You were right at the top. You were right at the top." And it's like, yeah, obviously you fucking picked him. He was at the top.
Yeah, it's a weird compliment to give when, picking him alone is the compliment. I can't say much else other than it's a bad choice. Miles is far too strong. I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to be better than Paul. I'm still pretty confident about Paul. I just think if you're adding more competition into the traitor dynamic, it's not going to end well.
Yeah, but Luke, you say it. You think it's a bad choice, yeah. But what's the lesser of two evils? Have him on your team, and later down the line, he betrays you, or have him as a faithful, and he starts sussing you all out before.
Connor, you're forgetting something. You're forgetting something massive there. There's also kill him. You can just kill him.
Yeah, cut that.
Harry asks the right question to Miles, though. He says, "Did you suspect any of us?" Miles says no. So thus far, they're avoiding suspicion.
Apart from Ash.
Yeah, mate. We'll talk about it more. But Ash gets found out on episode 4, I reckon. And that's the first traitor to go. That's what I reckon.
Yeah,
early prediction.
She's bad.
Should we get straight into the first murder?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Rick, I'm going to come to you first on this. I reckon you've got a lot to say.
Just about the first murder in general?
Yeah. Just based on our chats before the pod.
Caught him right off guard.
I thought you were going to give me a little lead-in. Yeah, one sec. Let me just read my notes.
Oh, head's gone. His head's gone.
This is a massive
We can do it again if you
Connor,
want more.
Connor, don't cut this.
Obviously, I've got first murder discussion down. I can't really remember how it goes on the episode.
Well, I think. I'll jump in. I think this isn't necessarily about the murder. This is just about the breakfast. There's one thing I noticed. I think Charlie was one of the first people to come in. And she starts talking about how she's a Christian, and she was like...
I love this, because this is just Luke hating religion.
Yeah, I hate religion, but this is the point. I think the first thing she does is she's like, I don't know if God's watching the podcast, and she's talking with Ross. I think it's Ross. And he's like, he or she. And then she's like, yeah, he or she. I'm not sure she's a Christian. I don't think she understands how the Bible works.
Well, actually, I've got another point on that, in that she says, I wonder if God watches the traitors. God is omnipotent, Charlie. My God sees everything and loves me.
Omniscient, Jake. That's omniscient.
Omnipotence, ultimately powerful. All powerful.
Oh.
Yeah.
Omnipresent, is that something different to that?
That's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to know, Luke, does that put her down with a psychic in your estimations now you find out she's religious?
Did you literally have that ready to ask to me?
Yeah.
No, not that far. Religion is unfortunately pretty popular. I've got to deal with it quite often.
All right, so when they're talking about who they're going to murder, Paul, I think, brings up Anthony first, and we get a saucy little intercut of Anthony in the bath. I was hoping they'd save that for Charlotte. So Miles then says that Anthony is likely to get himself banished anyway, which is true. That's a great shout. One then, that's a ding against Paul. Killing Anthony is prime for a banishment. Terrible.
I think Anthony goes very soon, very, very soon.
Yeah, from a banishment, yeah.
From banishment, and also just shows again what we've just said about Miles. You know, he's switched on. He's a switched on guy.
Yeah, he is.
He knows that people are gonna. There's certain people who are gonna banish themselves, and Anthony is up there.
Yeah, like, did you see Charlie's face when he walked in?
No.
Yeah, Anthony enters, and you just see Charlie just looks so disappointed. Nah, so I've got written down that Anthony, despite not being a traitor, is so suspicious. And we know he's not murdered anyone on this show.
Yeah.
But when it comes to real life, anyone's guess.
I get real Imran vibes from Anthony in the sense that he's obviously not guilty, but he just does things that really, really make him look guilty. It's crazy. The same as Imran with how he just doesn't defend himself very well when he's accused. Similar to what you mentioned in the last pod when he said, "No, you're a traitor." But I think that's just in the intro.
That's still to come.
I think that's going to be episode 3.
Yeah, it's got to be, and it's probably to Diane.
On Charlie again, she said a little bit later, I think it's easier to work out who's faithful rather than who's a traitor, which is the exact same thing. And she then immediately highlights Paul as faithful. So Charlie's thick as shit is a note for me.
I think Paul's doing a really good traitor thing right now. I know there's been a few little things saying Paul's starting to let it slip. I'm gonna just give Paul his flowers because he is the perfect villain. From the evil laugh to thinking to finding the murder of Aubrey as tasting sweet. He said it was like chocolate. And the glee in his face, the glee in his face as he took Aubrey's picture down was beautiful. I just, it's pure traitor, and it was amazing to me. I think he may eclipse Wilf in just how much I like him. He might not necessarily be as good as the game as Wilf, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, no, my only issue with Paul is I say it's not even an issue. Just I think he said some things in his talking heads.
Do you know what? Take a shot every time Jake says talking heads. The amount of times he said it in the last episode, and he's going to do it again this one now. He loves that word, talking heads.
It's my favourite band. Hey, look, no, I'm not dumbing this down for the people at home. This is how we industry people talk.
Industry.
It's funny.
You said last episode, Jake, about what we obviously see people in these talking heads that the contestants have no view of, and it can cloud your view of them. I'm struggling to not see Paul as a psychopath. Just he's got the crazy eyes, and then when people say like, "Wow, but he's faithful," I just think, how are you not seeing his crazy eyes?
One thing with Paul is I've actually seen a news article online that people are trying to get Paul removed from the show because he's enjoying the murders so much because they think he's a psychopath, which is obviously a load of bullshit. But I just find it hilarious. It makes me like him even more.
No, I do like how sadistic Paul is, and it always pisses me off. Like last series when people I feel bad about voting that person out. Oh, sorry, this person I met 3 days ago isn't here anymore. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, people tune into a show and then get annoyed when the actual premise of the show unfolds. Like, what did you expect to happen?
So after Paul brings up Anthony as a discussion, Miles shoots it down with good choice. Ash wants Sonia. Sonia had that awkward moment with her at the breakfast the day before. It seems a bit desperate, Ash bringing up Sonia. They always say, like, when in these discussions, like, oh, if we kill this person, it might throw shade on the person that they were suspecting to get him off their back. And that's exactly what she has actually done. No traitor should actually go for the person who's been calling them out, you would think.
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul says that Sonya's got a big following, but I don't know who he means. They never come to her rescue, did they, later on in the episode?
No, she was out straight away.
I think as well, do you know the bit where they're talking in the garden and Ash goes to Sonya, what do you do other than being a traitor? You can just see the panic in her eyes.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good
she's
shout.
just so worried in every interaction she has.
In Ash's eyes, yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good shout. I noted that as well. Just she said that clearly as a rebuttal to the day before. It was clearly, oh, Sonya did that to me, and I just want to sort of get it away from me somehow. And it didn't really work in my eyes.
Okay, so I've got something I want to say on Sonya, but first let's discuss who actually got murdered. It was Aubrey. Aubrey got murdered. I didn't see that one coming.
Wait, did you see it coming, or?
No, I didn't see it coming. Well, I had Aubrey as the first one to get banished, which is why, obviously, I think it's done, because I think they've just wasted the killing.
Yeah, so Miles and Harry... Ash brings up Aubrey, and Miles and Harry agree that he keeps himself to himself, which makes him a threat. They also say at times that it's a threat having cliques, so I don't know what's more of a threat, there being a clique or people who stick to themselves, but did any of you guys think that he was a threat to them? I didn't think he was.
No, not in the slightest.
It's hard to say, because I think the way he was talking to Ash in the first episode, I guess it's because I know that Ash is a traitor. It really came across as if he was onto Ash. I'm not sure whether he was. It just seemed that way, and maybe it's just because of my viewing, because I know she is a traitor.
Is anyone gutted that he's gone?
I don't give a shit.
No, I thought. I mean, I didn't think he'd get killed, but I did say in the first episode, as soon as I saw him, I was like, "You're the first to go."
I'm a bit gutted he's gone.
Why?
What's the name of the homosexual that was in it in season 1?
Do you remember?
I don't know.
Oh, come on! He had a massive.
There were quite a few.
He had a massive meltdown with Harry.
The one who was an arsehole. He was an arsehole to Aaron. The one who was a masseuse, and I can't remember his name.
Yeah, the masseuse. That was it. He had he had that like proper nasty streak in him. I could have seen this Aubrey down the line having that sort of same turn, just being very nasty and vicious people when he's having a meltdown. But we won't get a chance to see it now.
I feel like how in
I think
the
he stuffed
last
dead
episode.
birds.
I think how in the last episode, Connor put together two chubby blonde girls. He's now just grouping together homosexuals because he thinks they all like the same.
That's so true, because they have nothing in common.
He says he thinks they've kicked me off for being too observant. Well, they've made a big mistake. I mean, draw what conclusions you will from that.
Yeah.
Sounds like they haven't made a mistake.
Or maybe he's just confessing, like, I'm crap.
Well, that's what it comes across like. They had nothing to worry about.
That's a really good point. But my note on the Aubrey murder was, he mentioned he got murdered because he's too observant. I don't think that's what it is. He obviously was observant. He got murdered because he proclaimed he was observant to everyone else. That's not the game plan. You can observe without telling everyone that you're observing. And he just outed himself. He was moronic.
What did you think? Before, because I was watching it with Joe, before the breakfast, she said you'd be a bit
Who's Joe for the listeners?
She's lovely.
Oh, what a lovely wife. Carry on.
I'll re-record that. I was watching it with my wife before the.
What's your wife called?
Not a very good point.
No, let him make. But let's rewind and start again.
I was watching this with my wife, Joe, before the. Just before the breakfast scene, my wife said to me that she'd be a bit wary if she was one of the last few that came in, because that would mean that they're one of the ones that are up for it. And I was thinking, surely they don't do that. Like, that would be so obvious if every day the last few people that came in were one of the ones that were up for it. But on this occasion, she was right. It was, I think, other than, I think maybe Sonia or one of them coming earlier, or maybe not. I can't remember, but they were all towards the end anyway, and definitely two of them were up for it.
I noted that as well. I remember it because I remember it from season 1, and I really thought because they consistently did it in season 1, they wouldn't do it again for season 2, and so far they have. And I think that's a bit of a mistake. Maybe it'll change, but not once has a traitor, I don't think, has come into breakfast in like the final 2 or 3. They've always been coming in just dribs and drabs throughout the main pack, and surely if you were a faithful, you'd start noting things like that down, because it's happened consistently.
See, this is blowing my mind because I've never considered that, but you're so right. That happens every single time. Mm-hmm. All I'll say is, Rick, watch out for Joe.
So at the breakfast table, then Harry starts pushing suspicions onto Zach about the heavy breathing from him. You know, just subtly, just one-on-one, just subtly pushing someone's mind in maybe a different direction. I think it's important to get those sort of alibis in where you can. So when you have to call on them later at the banishment and defend yourself, at least you've spread the seeds and got it out there with someone. Again, I think you guys are underestimating Harry. I think you think he's dumb. I think he's playing the game.
Rick, I'm with you now.
Yeah?
I changed my mind from last episode. I think he's actually more clever than I thought, yeah.
Well, yeah, either he is more clever than you're giving him credit for, or unintentionally, I do think he is playing a good game.
I think with Harry, he did say initially he was playing dumb. He still comes across really dumb, but maybe he's fooling us, because I can't disagree with what Rick's saying. I think he is actually doing clever things. He hasn't really done anything that's made me think he's stupid, apart from just the way he talks. He says like a lot. But that's
I say like a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, well,
and to be fair.
Well, Jake's dumb. So.
That's all I've got for breakfast. Other than actually, that breakfast spread looked decent, didn't it?
What was it?
It always does, doesn't it?
Pause.
I wonder if it's actually edible, you know.
Pause. I'm chronically online, you see. I saw something online about a previous contestant who mentioned that the breakfast is pretty much inedible because the length of time, that they are in that room, it just gets stale and cold. Obviously, it is what looks like continental breakfast anyway, so I don't think it's meant to be warm. But apparently, it just gets extremely stale like the bread because it's been there for so long.
Okay, so then, just after breakfast, now building on from last week, Rick, you were disappointed that there were no secrets, no one's come in keeping everything to themselves, but we've actually learned, major secret, that Sonia has a sociology degree. Now she calls it a social science degree to try and pass that off as more than it is, and she says, I was going to keep it to myself, like that's a big advantage. Just means you're not smart enough to do a psychology degree. But Ben starts playing up to her, just going like, you should have hid that, I wouldn't have told people that. Now Ben's either really lovely and really friendly. Ben? You're not a Ben?
Who the fuck's Ben, mate?
Who the fuck is Ben, mate?
There's no Ben.
What's his name? Brian? Something like that.
Brian.
Fucking Ben.
He's so boring and forgettable. He does nothing. He's either friendly or soft in the head. Like, if he actually thinks a sociology degree gives you any fucking advantage.
I think he's being friendly.
Later on, I don't know, he seems soft in the head. And he's forgettable as fuck.
I have an A-level in sociology and I cannot read anyone.
Well, I've said I've never studied sociology, but I know people who have, and I wouldn't trust them to work out anything.
There you are, exactly.
I'm very surprised with this Brian hate. I don't really have much to say about him so far.
He just doesn't do anything. It's not his fault. I quite like him because of... We'll get on to it in a minute, but I think during the challenge he's very funny.
You hated him last episode for taking charge during the first challenge, Jake. I think you've come into this with a bit of bias. I'm not sure why.
I forgot about that. Is it because he's Scottish? I don't have any conscious issue with the Scottish, but I clearly do just have an issue with Brian. I don't know why.
Ross at this point calls out his big moment from the last episode where he downplays Zach's innocuous comments about getting a good night's sleep. And he sort of uses it to insinuate that Sonia looks suspicious. I'll just say Ross is probably my favourite person at this point. He just seems like a genuinely sound guy. He's also fit. I think he's probably the fittest guy in there.
Oh, bloody hell, okay.
We've spoken enough about the fit birds, haven't we? So we need to offer a bit of a level playing field. But I think we'll see later on as well. He clearly has a lot of influence. I mean, he almost single-handedly gets Sonia out of there when we come to it. And not through trying either. I don't think he's trying to get people to vote for her. He just puts forward why he's voting for her, and everyone sort of jumps on. I think influential guy.
I kind of disagree
I've
with you
commented
there.
on that.
I kind of disagree with you there. Not in that he doesn't do that. He does. I just think people got on board with that because it was just really valid. Like, we'll get to it when we get to it. But I think people jumped on that bandwagon not because it was him that said it. I think it was just a really valid point. It was a pretty fair criticism to give.
Well, I mean, no, because I've commented on that.
The start of Ross mentioning Sonia was when he was mentioning it to Jazz before the challenge. And I just noted how Jazz seemed so confused as Ross was explaining it to him. Like, his face, he just went silent, like he was stunned. And he was like, "Do you not think that's a bit traitor-like?" And he's like, "Yes."
Yeah, I've commented on that. That's the only thing he says all episode.
Yeah,
he looks worried when Claudia says his name later.
So
He does not want to be there.
I thought that might be a bit of a bad edit they'd done on Jazz there. He did come across as just bewildered.
Didn't he? He looked so shocked. Yeah.
The only thing I've got then before the challenge is that I think Diane starts. This is where she starts talking about Anthony. Just before the challenge, which actually makes me like Anthony a little bit because she is just annoying.
Yeah. I fucking hate Diane.
I am going to hold back until we talk about Diane properly. I'm going to rein it all in and charge up all my power in my hatred for Diane like a Kamehameha and just burst it all out.
Yeah, like, she doesn't even get an accusation in the banishment, and she's still the person I want to talk about the most.
So I think it's a good by Paul and Harry. They sort of with Diane and Jazz as well, but he's not really contributing to the conversation. But they're like working together to spread some seeds. And they come to I think Diane comes to the conclusion that Andrew and Anthony might not be interacting because they're both traitors. So she's sort of thinking Andrew, Anthony. And then she adds that Ash could be a traitor because she is talking to Anthony. So would traitors talk or would they stay apart? But Ash has started to... she did last episode, but Ash has started to get a bit of eyes looking her way. I think those two could throw her under the bus early doors.
Yeah, I agree. Like, just quickly on Diane, wound me up that she thought that was a fair reason to vote for Anthony, or even just bring up his name.
Exactly, like, Jake. Agree with you completely.
He had just as much reason to be stood there as she did.
Yeah.
But then, so she's theoretically she's starting to suss out Ash, and Paul's like, "Oh, it might be because she's switched on." No, it really isn't. I think it's very clear that Diane's quite thick and that Ash is just shit. Ash is just looking so suspicious.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Okay, for the challenge today, the group split up into two teams. One went outside in three separate groups to find bird calls, relay them through a radio. The team on the inside had to then match that bird call to a statue or something in the house and then place it on a plinth. Now, do you see how boring me explaining that was? Imagine watching it.
I enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I thought it was quite fun. It was very similar to the bell chime in the church, the last one.
In that it was the exact same.
But it was so much better. And there's one reason why it was so much better. It's because
Brian.
No. It's all because of my favourite girl in there, Jasmine, and her bird noise was beautiful. It was so good. I think I might have a competence kink because she was so good at doing those challenges. I found her so much more attractive. I think she was incredible. What a performance! It was
A
amazing.
competence kink.
A competence kink. I found her so much more attractive. She is now the woman I find the most attractive in there over Charlotte.
Luke, do your bird call. Do your bird call.
No.
Jake?
Do you want to hear my bird call, Connor?
Yes, please.
Come here.
Hey, baby, I've got a podcast. Yeah, I wrote that one down as well.
I wrote that Jasmine's was good, but Brian's was great.
Oh, Brian's was hysterical. That was like, it's weird that I was slagging him off a minute ago because I found that so entertaining. Thought it was so funny.
Yeah, I was impressed with his efforts. Yeah, it was a better trial than yesterday in terms of the actual
yeah.
trial. Like what
You're joking? I played Clash of Kingdoms while this challenge was on. I was bored with this challenge. Don't even know what the point was.
Mate, you're meant to be taking notes for a
It's all like
podcast.
freestyle.
I retract what I said last episode about preferring the last season's shield picking method. I do enjoy the drama that can come from like abandoning the challenge to get the shield. So yeah, that's working well, I think, and it is making it feel a little bit more.
We're starting to see the beginning of a rivalry between Zach and Kyra. They had the disagreement at the start about who should be inside, who should be outside, and that was all based around the shields. So yeah, fair play. The shields have added a bit of tension there.
What are we all, Team Kyra or Zach? I'm Team Zach.
I think I know I said I really didn't like him last episode, and I still really don't like him, but he makes for such good viewing, though. So I think I am Team Zach. Look at the face of him. He looks like somebody. Who does he look like? I know he looks like somebody.
Rick,
maybe someone you know.
I think I'm Team Kyra. I don't think she's done anything wrong. I think they're both falling into the trap of thinking, especially Kyra, I don't like that person, so they must be a traitor. But I do think Kyra's reasoning around the shields is the right point of view.
My take on it is I'm kind of team neither. I think
you can't do that.
Well, no, I'll explain my point. I think in the challenge itself, I was team Kyra because they were trying to allocate the teams, and Zach just clearly wanted to be, which is really, really strange to me because Zach's entire argument later on in the episode was don't abandon the challenge. Well, it was about, don't abandon the challenge to get a shield. Yet he was really arguing to be on the outside team to have the opportunity to get a shield. So it didn't really add up. But then at the same time, Kyra's arguments were just so terrible as well because she did the exact same thing in episode 1.
Well, no, so I think Zach was doing that because he saw Kyra was on the outside team. He's like, I'm not having that. Like, I don't think he necessarily wanted the shield. I think he was like, get inside.
Yeah, reasonable. I just think they should have optimized the challenge. So, like they mentioned, get the fittest people outside, and the people who are better at the running and the fitness side of it because they're going to be darting about. And I think people just wanted to get outside to have the opportunity to get a shield. Which, listen, if you can argue your case and get yourself there and strong arm it, then fair play. I don't really care. If you can get yourself in there with an opportunity to get a shield, do it.
So let's talk about the fact that before the challenge, Andrew keeps repeating, it's not about the shield, it's about doing well on the challenge. And then as soon as they split up into groups, he says to his group, let's go for a shield. What do you think about that?
Man's got himself banished so quick. Why wouldn't you? If someone's done that, regardless, because if even just doing something to make people not like you, that can be a death sentence. That in itself is quite treacherous. It's like throwing faithfuls, trying to say that, oh, you faithfuls don't go for this shield, and then going for it. It's like,
yeah, and didn't Paul let people know as well that it was Andrew's shout to make them all go for it as well?
Well, he was asked as well, so Paul didn't even offer the information up first. So Paul played that very well.
Wait, can I just say as well, I've just remembered who I think Zach looks like. Is it, do you reckon he looks like Anthony Fantano with the needle drop?
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout. He does look like Fantano.
Yeah, he does actually, he does.
He does look like Fantano. Yeah, that's a really good shout. The needle drop, man. But anyway, back to the Anthony thing. Were we talking about Anthony? I'm not too sure.
Fantano.
Obviously, I think in that challenge, the group that got the shield, Andrew's quite clearly the front runner for making himself look more suspicious. And I just found this so funny because, buzzword, in Diane's talking head,
boys.
I remember the way she said it. She said, the team that got the shield was Andrew, Paul, and Anthony. And that just proves that Anthony is a traitor because this, that, and the other. And it's like, why did you pause on Anthony? Anthony was 100% the only person you wanted to mention in this speech. He's on your mind 24/7.
Yeah.
And you sort of tried to mask it as if you forgot who it was in that group. Give it a rest. You just wanted to pile on Anthony, even though he didn't really have much of a say in getting the shield.
No, not at all.
No, not at
Paul,
all.
I don't think he did this on purpose in any way, but being in that group, he's played a blinder. He's got them. Yeah. They both have all three of them have gone for a shield. Andrew and Anthony are getting shit for it, and Paul has somehow again come up smelling of roses. He's done well there.
Yeah, he is. I think I just see Miles as a little bit more malicious, and Paul a little bit more like he's enjoying. I think Miles, with Paul, I think he's playing the group better than Miles. But I don't know. I see Miles because the thing is he trusts Miles, whereas I don't think Miles necessarily gives a
how
shit
you
about
don't
Paul.
see Paul as malicious is crazy to me. I think he's
yeah.
No, I worded that wrong. So he is malicious, but no, because the thing is, Paul, I think, is a team player. I don't think Miles is. I think Miles turns his back on the traitors, and I think Paul his undoing might be trusting Miles.
Is because I think Paul's actions are showing why he's treacherous. Like the things he does really show that he's quite treacherous. I think Miles does it more with just what he says, and I don't think always you can follow up what you say with what you do. I think Paul's doing it.
He is the most active.
Miles has said a lot, and
that's what I mean. He's playing the group very well, much better than Miles.
Clinging on to what Miles has said in his talking head. Here we go again. In what he says, but he hasn't actually necessarily done anything yet. I haven't seen him play people off each other or actually mess with people that much. I've seen Paul do it.
Exactly. The thing is, no one's talking about Miles at all. People are talking about Paul.
Yeah, but probably deliberately. Could be deliberately as well.
Exactly.
But people are talking about Paul.
Do anything.
And you know what they're saying? He could not be a traitor because he's playing people off so well. No, some people said about
Talk
Paul,
changes.
You would be a good one. I think Diane said you'd be a good one. No, Diane said you'd be a good one.
Diane said it,
someone else agreed. I think it was maybe Jazz. He said, yeah, I agree, you'd be a good one. But no one's accused him of being one. And everyone has said, multiple people have said, he's definitely not. I think he's doing a better job of messing with people's heads.
Amanda was almost elected the leader of the group last series, and everyone declared her innocent straight away. And then obviously she fell foul of Wilf. So I think Paul, because the thing is, people, if they don't get a traitor for a few episodes, and they start thinking, where have we not looked? Okay, we've not even entertained the idea of Paul, and then Miles is there just to say, yeah, you haven't. Let's go for him.
Yeah,
I think that.
Yeah. What do you think, Rick?
I agree. I've agreed with Jake. Yeah, all throughout this. Yeah.
How come? If you don't mind me asking.
I think Miles is. I think he is going to follow up on his words. I think, like he says, he's loyal only to. Well, he said he's loyal to his family. I think he's not going to have a problem throwing Paul under the bus. I think Paul is enjoying the team aspect of being a traitor. You know, you keep seeing him with Harry. He's like a team of traitors. Where I think Miles will prove to just be out for himself. Well, and for his family back home.
Yeah, anyone got anything else on the challenge?
You are right. These challenges are just fucking boring.
Yeah, it's the worst part. We're meant to be talking about the challenge now, and we've done anything but.
What about Paul says that now the strategy for every game has got to be the traitors go for the shields. What do you think of that conclusion?
Again, no. Are you going to keep going for the shield, Paul? Because I think that's going to start coming across as
conclusion
weird.
to draw from that. I think at the minute he's been swept up in the view of him is that he's been swept up by Andrew and Anthony, the bad influences, by going for his shield.
I think what he means more is try and find good ways of getting the shield. I don't think just, go out of your way to get it. I think
your word's not his, Luke. Your word's not his.
I think that's what he means. You've got to remember there are 4 traitors. So far, two out of 4 have got him. So if next, Ash or Miles get one, I don't think that'll give people any suspicions. It'll be pretty spread out.
It would be interesting to see how far the sort of putting Paul on the pedestal could go. If he starts going for shields and people still just go, Andrew and Anthony have led him astray. He was such a good young boy before he came in. My only other note on the challenge, Meg doesn't really do much in the episode, but she does say, that's the most I've run since school. PE teachers be proud. Of what? The fact you haven't run for 7 years. I don't like Meg. I don't think she's got much to her. But I think she might end up going all the way because nobody really is going to even look at her. So just before the banishment, moving on from the challenge. Now, when we go on to the banishment, I'm going to bitch a lot about Diane. Just before the challenge, Ross says to Diane that he's going to accuse Sonia. And she just goes, I think you need to be very careful about... And she says it in such a threatening tone, because it's very clear she likes Sonia. And I watched that and I was like, does she think he's his fucking mum? And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, is she? Like the way she said it was so... And then I figured I forgot she was a teacher, and you can tell in a few of the interactions she had in that episode, she is very much a teacher. And I fucking hate her.
I would... Oh, I can just see what she's like as a teacher, and I hate it.
Just while you're talking about that, Jake, when Sonia is voted out, she blames herd mentality. When, like you say, she is the one that warned Ross not to go against the herd. She's just a dislikable woman, isn't she?
I just think she wants it all her own way, and her reasoning to have it her own way is inconsistent.
Yeah, I think I don't know whether Diane's aware of what she's doing or not, but she clearly has an ulterior motive, and she'll use whatever she can cling on to convince other people of that, and she'll justify it in her own way, however she sees fit at the time. It's very inconsistent a lot of the time.
I'm convinced she has no motive. She's just a control freak who's forgotten she's playing a game and just wants people to agree with her.
Yeah.
So the first banishment of the series, as soon as it starts, Diane goes straight for Anthony. Anyone got any thoughts?
I'm going to jump in just like Diane jumped in after Claudia. What a dickhead. What is she on about? I think Anthony actually raised a good point. I think sometimes he's really bad at arguing his case. He actually made a reasonable point when he said, you should be defensive when someone accuses you of something that you aren't. And that is what they were doing.
Yeah.
Diane did exactly what you mentioned last episode, Jake, which is basing her banishment on things she doesn't like about something. And what's even worse, she went one step further and based her vote on something he did prior to the traitors being announced, which makes no sense whatsoever. What an arsehole.
She hasn't mentioned it until that day. It's strange that she's not... I thought she was going to go into there, before I watched the episode, fixated on Harry because of that breathing thing. She didn't mention Anthony at all yesterday. You would have thought, get that in there. If you're going to be sort of throwing shade on Harry, just throw shade on who you really think is the traitor.
Yeah, and she comes across as very entitled to me. The way it all comes down to the fact that I want to stand there. I'm stood here. Like, that's it, get off the show.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It was bizarre. Anthony actually, I'm not fully convinced on him. I think he might actually be. He still is a bit weird, and he doesn't argue his case very well a lot of the time.
Oh, he is.
But the enemy of an enemy is a friend, and Diane is the enemy. She's the ops, and I can't stand.
So the thing with Anthony is, when Diane's grilling him, I'm just like, fuck you, Diane, leave him alone. Yeah. And then Charlotte chips in with, like, what Diane's saying is wrong, but you have changed since the train. And I was immediately like, yeah, Anthony, mate, what the fuck are you doing? And he's changed massively. I think it's just because on the train, he was like fun and a laugh, and I haven't seen him smile apart from like sarcastically since the train. But I just think it's a case of it's fun and games when he's on the train, and now I think the game's getting to him more than most, especially people bitching.
Is that true, Rick?
I thought he was a weirdo on the train. I thought he's been a weirdo since. I've not picked up. Now you're saying it, Jake. I guess there's that turning point moment when Zach mentions about the rowing, and I think that was the turning point in Ansai's character, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But even though his manner has changed a little bit, I do just think it was weird to start with. I'm not surprised that he acts weirdly to an unforeseen situation, you know.
I mean, when Charlotte says that accusation, he says, like, really? In the most suspicious way. It's like, oh, really? And I was just like, mate, what are you doing? You're just screaming, like, fucking vote for me. Go on, I dare you.
Yeah, and he's got such an intense stare when he's, like, deep in thought, like in the round table. I think while he was getting accused, he had such a intense look to him. It was weird.
But barely got a vote.
Yeah. And, one thing he got. I remember specifically he got 2 votes, and I enjoyed so much that Diane, by banging on so much about Anthony and just saying really stupid, incoherent things, she managed to muster up 2 votes for herself, and she managed to match Anthony. Her and Anthony got the same amount of votes.
You don't remember who voted the second one? Who did the second vote?
It was Diane, and it was the spirit world herself, Tracy. The spirits did not guide her in the right direction this time, because she voted for Anthony as well.
Yeah.
No, who voted for Diane?
Anthony.
Was it not a second?
And who else?
Oh God, good question.
We should keep track.
I've got down how many votes Sonia got, and I've also got down how many different types of spelling there were in Sonia.
Oh my God, I had that noted as well. I had it noted specifically for the fact that
she got 10 votes and 4 different spellings.
I noted that as well. I noted specific. I noted
SONJA,
yeah.
SONIJA. That was Zach. He's the only one that spelled it right. SONJA and SONYA.
What is Zach on there with that spelling? What the hell?
I noted it specifically because if I was getting voted out and it was really apparent that I was going, I wouldn't be able to stay composed while everyone was spelling my name wrong. It just rattled me.
Yeah, that annoyed me.
Yeah, because SONJ is the only right one, and everyone else was getting it wrong. So I'm just thinking in my head, like, she must be so pissed off right now.
Yeah, it'd be funny if 10 people, whilst they were writing it down, just go, Sonia, how'd you spell your name?
How do you spell Sonia?
I don't want to give away who I'm voting for, Sonia. Like, don't vote for me, but like, how if I was going to vote for you, how would I spell that?
Before we get on to a big Sonia discussion, because she is the one that goes, so we're going to have a lot to say there. Shall we talk about Andrew and Kyra, who were the other two who I think got a bit of a mention?
Yes.
I've got more to say about this than I do Sonia, to be fair. Kyra going straight for Andrew is so dumb, considering that can just be thrown straight back at her, and it is. Her attitude stinks, in my opinion. I've said that I just don't like her. It would be unfair to go for the shield first because I haven't completed the challenge. She did that literally the day before. They say it later on, we'll go into it, but she's going to get herself banished because she's a knobhead.
When Zach, obviously that sparks an argument between Zach and Kyra. Harry interrupts that argument.
I've got that.
Yeah. It was, and he interrupts it with some incoherence. He's like, I just want to know who the traitor is. Stop this arguing. Come on, let him argue, man. Let him argue. But
I think that's what traitors. I think like dumb traitors. Oh, Christ, I've gone back my word now by saying it's a dumb traitor thing to do. But I think that's. I remember people doing that in the first series. Like they think if I do that now, like it'll sort of make me look more faithful. It doesn't. It doesn't make him look like that. But I think that's what he's thinking by doing it.
I'd like to jump in here.
Go ahead, mate.
I remember. Fuck. With Harry, I was annoyed that he interrupted just because I wanted to see more arguing. But I think it does make him look more faithful. I do. if everyone's arguing about things that aren't necessarily traitor talk while they're on the round table, just going in, no, I just want to find out who the traitor is. I think that might be quite a smart move, because it really does make him look like he's really trying to find the traitor.
Yeah, but that's what a traitor would want to seem like, though.
That's the point,
so, I
Connor.
think...
That's the entire fucking
Yeah,
point.
so if I'm a faithful, I'll be like, oh, who's like going that extra way to make themselves look innocent? So he's got to be a traitor.
This is it. This is why Connor's a bad, and I'd hate to be on the show with him, because he'd incriminate me. If I was a traitor, he'd incriminate me, and I'd be like, what the fuck? You're just going about it in such a stupid way, and you're getting it right. This is just dumb. I'm doing really tactically sound things, and you're onto me, and it makes no sense. You rattle me. Yeah. Fuck you.
So I've got that, him jumping in, I do think it did a good job of making him look innocent, because it looked like, okay, let's stop this is getting us nowhere, and I liked that. But the point he makes in his accusation to Zach is so incoherent. His reasoning for voting for Zach is that he's a laughy guy. What the fuck? But so I've put, that's either him playing this dumb character, or he is genuinely, and I think it's this, that he is just dumb.
It was a bad reason to throw out to Zach, and Zach just laughs it off.
Yeah.
As much as Zach's getting everyone's back up now, I don't think he's actually a real contender for being banished soon.
I don't. I think he's proven quite strong now. I think he's going to get murdered.
Maybe. Just circling back to Andrew, who obviously had the shield debacle. I don't think Paul covered himself in glory when he... Because obviously Kyra brings up the fact that Andrew went for a shield, and Andrew's like, oh, was I the only one in that team? Well, and Paul's like, oh, let me take it here. I just let it be known that it was your idea initially, but obviously then we went along with it. I think he should have said, I didn't draw the conclusion that you're a traitor from that. I said what's happened, and people have drawn their own conclusions. And he should have said to Andrew, I don't think you're a traitor. Because now it looks like he's tried to stab Andrew in the back a little bit, to Andrew. And I wouldn't want Andrew after me.
Exactly. I said that last episode. I've got that point, that fucking stare he gives him.
Yeah. And when he starts talking fast, and you can tell that Andrew's a bit angry, I'd be shitting myself a little bit.
Yeah. Paul was lucky that he was literally the opposite side of the table. Mate, I cry, honestly. He scares the life out of me. But just in that, so obviously, whilst Kyra's making her accusation, Zach jumps in with the, well, obviously, you did that yesterday, which I like, just because, to be honest, even if Kyra had pissed me off, I think I'd leave that. I'd just let someone else talk. I wouldn't be drawing attention to myself. But what really pissed me off, and I don't want to keep bringing this up, is that Diane, stopped Zach talking with the, do you mind? And I was so angry at Kyra when I was watching it, and obviously I already hate Diane. So when she said that in my head, I was like, you better watch who you're fucking talking to. This is not school. Obviously I wouldn't say that at the table, because I think I get voted out that night. But just pissed me off when Diane starts getting involved.
Everything Diane does pisses me off right now. She's rattling me so much. She has a hold on me right now. I don't like it.
Okay, on Sonia. So Ross makes the first accusation, and it really is just the soundest logic of all the accusations. Despite him being wrong, that he went about that in the best way he could. And I think people recognise that, which is why I think he's going to be a strong faithful if he keeps applying that sense of logic.
I would like to, for the only time for the rest of this episode, not dig out Diane and dig out Johnny for being a little bitch. I cannot stand that.
Yeah, Johnny's a bitch.
Johnny's winding me up. Why would you... He did vote for Sonia, but proclaimed, if I'm wrong, I'm going after you, Ross. What are you on about? It was such sound logic. It made so much sense why you would accuse Sonia. It's what Jasmine said later on. She was a faithful, but she wasn't a good one. So Diane doesn't need to act all smug about it. She didn't have sound logic in not thinking Sonia was a traitor, because she acted like one. So fair play Ross, fair play everyone who voted Sonia.
And I don't think Ross was trying to start a pile-on either. Like I said earlier, he was just giving his opinion, and I think people, like you said, Luke, it was a good opinion. It was based on something, so people hung on to it. But did you hear that Ross said that what Sonia did was traitor speak, and we were this close to getting a shout out on the actual show? If it had just said, if it had just said Traitor Talk, we would have been golden. Is it too late to change the name to Traitor Speak?
We haven't published, have we? We need to change the logo.
I guess we better leave it. Jake, last episode you said you think Sonia would be bad at convincing people anything, and wow, she puts up a lackluster performance in trying to convince people she's not faithful. She actually has. She votes for Ross and doesn't explain why until after she's already been voted out. Like,
yeah. But she still doesn't explain.
No, and she says when they first took blindfolds off after choosing the traitors, he reacted to something that Claudia said suspiciously. So I went back and watched that bit, so you guys didn't have to. And
thank you, Rick.
It's all right. Unless I think if he had have done something, they'd have put it in the edit, and there is nothing. The only thing that could possibly be is when she first addresses, she goes traitors, and he looks jokingly, accusingly at someone. if it's that, then come on.
Maybe he rubbed his eyes once he took his blindfold off.
So like Sonia, she even says, "If I was a traitor, which I'm not," and that is just a classic line. Like, it's so useless as a line. Like, it doesn't make you look guilty. It's just like, well, obviously, a traitor would say that. It's just so unconvincing.
Some people are so dumb when they vote for who they think are the traitor. Like, some people actually would say, "Oh, she didn't point out that she could not be a traitor, so I'm going to vote her."
Yeah.
I don't think anyone.
Some people go through
the basic rule of the show that I think everyone adheres to is that a traitor would not say they're a traitor.
Yeah.
Just quickly on Johnny being a bitch. See, I thought Johnny was a bitch, and I thought the reason he said, if I'm wrong on this, I'm going for you, Ross. I think it's because he didn't have the stomach to basically tell Sonia he was just going to go for her.
Yeah.
So, he just wanted to be like, "Oh, Sonia, I'm going for you, but mate, if I'm wrong, don't worry, I'll get revenge for you."
Fucking hell, he's talking about his stomach. Did you see his literal stomach when he was getting changed in a little clip? He's got a right little podge on him.
I mean, now in hindsight, I remember seeing that.
He had a right little podge.
Out to me.
Little
podgy Johnny.
Yeah.
Podgy Johnny. Oh, he winds me up. He's up there with all those just such a snide comment to make to Ross.
If I know Ross though, it won't stick. People are going to Ross over Team Johnny.
But how well do you know Ross though? How well do you know Ross, Rick?
I think I know him pretty well. Based on him calling Zach Zacky Boy, I know everything I need to know about him.
I genuinely felt that when he said Zacky Boy, I was like, "Do I know this
guy?" Paul voted for Sonia and said that he hopes he's wrong. Odd thing to say, I think.
Yeah, I hate people who say that. Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about Sonia's character if she was a traitor. He was the only one who said that. I mean, people said sorry, right. and I still like you. Yeah, and someone, I think it was Evie, said, "I hope I'm right, and that we've voted you out for a good reason." Paul, he hopes he's wrong.
Yeah, very odd. Very odd.
Yeah, and Diane, I mean, I know we keep bringing up cheering. I just found that irritating.
God.
If I remember right, I think Diane may have mentioned, she did specifically. She said, "Andrew is not a team player," is what she said. How about celebrating the loss?
Yeah.
Did any of you
absolutely?
Did any of you catch Anthony's reaction when she cheers?
Oh, what? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I only caught it on the second viewing. He obviously, he gives it a. He's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, arms out to his side, shock on his face. What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's the worst thing you can do. I hate people do that.
It's like outrageous.
When my dad watches, when me and my dad watch Liverpool games, if we're playing shit and the team score against us, he'll go.
Well, he'll clap him.
He'll clap your team scoring.
People can't see what you're doing, man.
Yeah, but
I just clapped, dickhead.
Yeah, I know. We can see it.
No, see, I'm telling the people at home, Connor's clapping.
Yeah, I just hate people that do that. Yeah.
She does call herself out on it, and to be honest, I don't think a traitor would be ballsy enough to do that. You would have to be an amazing traitor,
Yeah.
But obviously, we know she's kind of put herself beyond suspicion, which is kind of the worst thing you can be in this game, because there's no reason not to be murdered. They don't actually come to that.
And she's
They
dislikable.
don't come to that conclusion, I don't think. But yeah, she's dislikable and 100% faithful. Fucking get her killed off.
God, you are very intelligent, Rick. The stuff you say, I don't know how you watch the show so different to me.
Oh man! But the thing is, like, her cheering riled me up so much because she's being like, "Ha, I'm right, you're all wrong." Not only is Diane also wrong, she's more wrong because her logic doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, she's just so annoying. She's so obsessed.
What? She annoys you?
With
We might have to cut down how much we slag off Diane.
Yeah, I think she's just so obsessed with being right, and she clearly cares more about her being right than actually offing traitors, which is just crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, I mean, on my notes, I've only got one more thing really to discuss before we go on to the next murder, and that's Connor with the prediction last week that Diane was someone's mum. Has got some legs, it seems.
Who's the real psychic?
Right, yeah. Let me take this one away. So in the last episode, we settled on the wrong name, didn't we? I said it was Ross, but Rick talked me out of it, saying no, it's Brian that she said it to. I checked back, it is Ross she said it to. Not said it to, asked him, like, why you on the show, and that's one of I think is his son, Ross. But someone doesn't think it's Ross today; they think it's Paul.
Which I don't think.
Well, so it's definitely got to be a fact. Yeah, she is someone's mother. Yeah,
Not
I mean,
necessarily.
it's looking likely, but I don't think it's Paul.
But I know women can dye their hair and that, yeah, but they've got very similar hair colour.
Men can dye their hair
Very
too.
similar. Yeah, but men don't know. But women do, especially a woman of her age. I bet she's grey if she didn't touch it.
To your point,
it's between. Wait, so it's okay.
No,
but
you go.
I'll just say though, it's between Ross or Paul, surely.
To your point, Connor, about it saying it's definitely true. I mean, the producers have left that in for a reason, and it's so out of place where they've left it. Yeah, I do think that she's going to turn out to be someone's mum. I do think it's going to be Paul. I looked at their write-up on the BBC when they asked why they applied. Paul said his family convinced him, and Diane said she watched it with her children. And on Ross's section, you thought it was going to be Ross, Connor.
Yeah.
When Diane asked him, he said his mum got him to apply, but on the write-up, he don't mention his mum at all. He mentions like a business colleague, but I do think it is looking like Paul.
And Connor, to address the point you made, me and Jacob dyed our hair.
I've dyed my hair multiple times as well, but I just.
Well, there you go, mate. Stop being sexist. Stop being
Yeah,
sexist.
but all right, I'm cutting you, slagging me off out.
I mean, not relevant, but like when I dyed my hair, I got like 3 times more female attention than ever.
What's 3 times 0, Jake?
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Oh, 1-0. 1-0.
Yeah, should we talk about the murder?
Murder time. So we've got so immediately, and it's not relevant because it's not one of the 3 names, but straight away they just go, Diane's going to banish herself. So that's spot on.
Sorry,
into the 3
sorry,
names.
Jake, but do you think it's spot on? Because like I was just saying, I think she's beyond suspicion as a traitor. I think they've drawn the wrong conclusion there.
No, I think early doors, you just get rid of the people you don't like. Like, she's overt in that she's going for that. I think a lot of other people, I think they lie to themselves, or they at least lie to each other as to why they're voting for someone. But being unlikable is just as bad as being treacherous at this point.
I think Jake's obviously got a point, because Anthony's not going to stop the witch hunt. He'll keep going in on Diane, I'm pretty sure, and rightfully so. I'd do it if I were him. But as a viewer, she's just quite clearly not a traitor, and I think if I was on the show, I'd quite clearly be able to tell she is not a traitor. Like, if she was a traitor, it would be the most genius way of playing the game. But she's just blatantly not.
Who do we think are traitors?
Oh, Connor, you are pound for pound funniest on the show.
Most annoying as well, though.
Yeah, very annoying.
For you.
Yeah. So who do they consider?
So the three names they've picked out are Kyra, Johnny, and Meg. Now, they say if Kyra flips on you, you're vulnerable. I do not agree with that at all. Like, if Kyra, flipped on me and started calling me out, I would happily say to the group, have you heard the absolute shit that comes out of this woman's mouth? Like, I bet she can't even fucking spell traitor. Like, Kyra's thick as shit.
I think that would get you banished, Jake.
Yeah, I'd vote for you. Yeah.
No, the thing is, people don't like Kyra.
When they were saying that about her, do you know when they showed clip? Did you see that little clip of her lying on the bed playing with her little locks?
Yeah, she looked hot.
Jesus.
That was a
Play with what?
With her locks.
Like a hair. What did you say?
Oh man, I thought you said cock.
I thought he said playing with a little box. I don't think she's a threat either. Like they say, if she flips on you, like you're done for, whatever. She has turned on Zach, and no one is suspecting Zach, so she's not under much sway, is she?
I think the traitors are making poor decisions. I don't think they're all dumb. I just think that there's a few silly decisions here. I think they'll probably go for Kyra. I think they will kill Kyra. Because I think Johnny will get himself banished himself, just the way he's acting so strong. Me personally, I'd go for Meg. That's a bit of a weird one.
I've got that I'd go for Meg.
I'd go for Meg.
She's just non-suspicious and chill and quiet.
Yeah.
She could end up getting to the final just because she's not a threat and she's not suspicious.
The reason why I'd go for Meg is...
Fucking hell.
Come on.
I can hear that. Sorry. Keep talking.
Right, okay. Right, one second. Yeah, so the reason why I'd go for Meg is simply because I think the traitors are doing quite well at the moment. I think they're in the clear, apart from Ash, obviously. But I think the best thing they can do is just keep going in the path they're already going in. And getting rid of Meg would not stir the pot. It wouldn't do anything. I don't think it'd really affect the dynamic. So as long as they can keep everything going in the way it's going right now, I think they're pretty fine.
I think they will go for Meg for that reason. They're probably going to continue what they're doing. It'd be very similar to getting Aubrey out. It won't cause that many ripples. It'd be a bit left field, which they say. I think Harry makes that point that they should go for someone that's going to be like that no one's going to be expecting. Whatever. I think Meg would be. I think Meg is what they should do, and I think it's what they will do.
Yeah, I mean, as well as that, Harry also says, he's like, murdering this person was so evil, and I don't think you can really use that on Meg or Kyra, because they've both at times been confrontational, whereas Meg's just been nice. So I think like the evil thing is like killing the nice person. So I do think it's going to be Meg.
I hope it's Meg, because I like traitors doing well, and I'm always team traitor.
Who do you think? Sorry, Connor. Who do you think they're going to get rid of?
Whoever you reckon.
One thing as well I forgot to mention, and we can still use it to prediction. So I still think Ash is going to be the first traitor to be found out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think, that feels pretty group. That's unanimous. So when she's accusing Sonia, she literally, obviously they won't read into it, but in Ash's words, she's kind of admitting to being a traitor. She's going like, you said to me, like, are you a traitor? And see, that makes me feel uneasy. It's like, why does that make you feel uneasy, Ash? Is it because you're a traitor? I'm going to vote this person out because they're onto me, is what you just said. The group won't pick up on that, but Ash is so bait. So, I think, what did I say earlier, episode 4? My prediction is episode 4, Ash is going to get outed.
Do you think it'll be a betrayal from the traitors? Do you think they'll lump on?
No, I think... I wouldn't be surprised if the traitors voted for her, but I don't think they'll contribute to the witch hunt.
They don't need to, do they?
No, they don't. She's signing her own death warrant.
I think it will be similar. I think it will be a case of they'll start seeing that she's cracking in the round table, and then they'll end up voting for her because it's just the smart thing to do.
Okay, does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
Just an interesting little note that the two people who've been kicked off the show so far have been the two oldest contestants, the two who are least likely to do well in the trials. I don't know whether that's subconscious or well, it probably is subconscious, but worth saying. The trials tend to be predominantly physical this season. Both the trials this season have been physical trials. People do have clear advantages in gaining money there. There was one last season which was just push a big barrel up a hill.
I don't think it's necessarily the physicality, but I do think you're right with the age. But I think it's more social, and just the younger people might not socialise as well due to a generation gap. And I just think the game's purely social, and there's definitely will be a correlation in them both being old. Like last year, no one was old in like the last few episodes, really.
I don't think either of them were out anything to do with their age. I think Sonia's reason for being voted out then was just solely to do with her actions, and I don't think it really correlates to her age or the social dynamic. She just went into it trying to fuck with people, and she tripped up by incriminating herself, even though she wasn't guilty. Maybe, or not even Aubrey either. I don't really see how anything to do with him being older than the rest of them had any correlation to his reason for going. He was just going around saying he was perceptive to everyone. Like I am onto you, traitors. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, shall we leave it there then?
Yep.
No, I've one more thing to say.
You got one thing to say?
Yeah, it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart after every episode that I'll never be with Charlotte.
I'd love it if you leave your own comment in.
I hope she one day listens to this.
I am sure Charlotte will be absolutely joyous to hear that you've got a stiffy.
Bring back Stiffy, hashtag.
I just have one last thing to say.
No, you go ahead.
But so I thought that was better than last episode. Obviously, having a round table is a big factor in that. Just because that is the game really, and that's what's interesting about the show. But I'm also looking forward to. There's some beefs developing. There's Anthony and Diane. There's Kyra and Zach, and Ross and Johnny possibly having a little beef. Maybe I don't know if that's going to develop, but all interesting. Looking
very astute, Rick.
Yeah.
If Charlotte gets voted off, I'm not watching again, and I'm only going to edit the podcast then.
Can you still just like be on to say Stiffy and stuff?
Nope, I will not appear anymore, but I will edit for you.
Oh, that sucks. But just on your point, Rick, just as a little teaser for us all. So I was talking to my mate Chris, whose opinion I value very highly. He was saying he can't wait to hear our podcast for episode 3. And I'll say no more. That's all he told me, but apparently it's all going to go down in episode 3.
I'm going to watch it now then.
Yeah, so for everyone at home, join us on episode 3 when it's apparently all going to kick off. Thank you to you guys. That's you guys, sorry. Luke, Rick and Connor.
Oh, you're most welcome. Yeah. You're most welcome, mate.
Anytime.
And thank you to me. Hope to see you all again soon.
Bye, guys.
Au revoir.